Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Miami Heat fire back at reports of severe Nikola Jovic injury. Any way you cut it, Miami Heat forward Nikola Jovic has an injury, and for a player who is critical to the next step this team takes, that's not good news. But reports have varied, pretty wildly, on just how severe Jovic's ankle problem is, with veteran Heat beat reporters clapping back at reports from Serbia of a broken ankle. We know that Jovic originally suffered the injury during a workout with the Heat at the Casilla Center in Miami last month. Concerns were raised when photos showed him in a walking boot. Since then, he has been unable to train with his home country, Serbia, ahead of the Paris Olympics, and he was held out of the team's first warm-up game, Friday against France. According to Meridian Sport, via NBC Sports, Jovic has a fracture in the ankle that will force him to miss all of the Olympics, an injury that would likely keep Jovic out for the start of the NBA season, too. But the Heat fired back at that notion through the Miami Herald and South Florida Sun-Sentinel. Despite reports from European media outlets that forward Nikola Jovic has a fractured ankle and will miss the Olympics for Serbia, the Miami Heat's medical staff is defining that injury as a sprain, as well as a metatarsal fracture, with no formal Heat determination yet on Jovic's Olympic status, the Sun-Sentinel's Ira Winderman wrote. Jovic is a key part of a Serbia team that won a silver medal at the 2023 World Cup and is a favorite to hit the podium again in Paris. If he is unable to play for Serbia, at least at this point, that final decision is with the national team, not the Heat, but at this point, the Heat have not yet cleared him to participate in Serbia's practices and games. Here's how the Miami Herald put it: Jovic has not yet been medically cleared by the Heat to take part in the Olympics, which begin later this month. While the Heat has not yet ruled out the possibility of clearing Jovic ahead of the Olympics, according to a league source, Serbia's national federation will make the formal decision on his status for the competition even if he's cleared by the Heat. But the report in the Herald also made clear that the Heat expect Jovic to be ready and available for the start of training camp on October 1st. Jovic obviously wants to play in the Olympics and helped use a strong performance in the World Cup, 10.1 points, 56.6% shooting, last summer as a springboard to improve last season. The Heat have brought the 21-year-old along slowly, but over the last 14 games of 2023-24, Jovic averaged 11.1 points, 4.3 rebounds, and 2.1 assists in 23.7 minutes. He had 5 games in which he played 30 minutes or more, and in those games, he was outstanding: 17.4 points, 6.4 rebounds, 2.6 assists, 53.6% shooting and 50% three-point shooting. Certainly, Jovic has shown signs of being worthy of a bigger role. In all, Jovic averaged 7.7 points and 4.2 rebounds in 46 games. He shot 39.9% from the three-point line. Of course, as the Heat continue to weigh how to potentially change the roster going into next season, Jovic is a crucial piece. If Miami does get involved in a major trade for another star player, it is all but certain that Jovic would be one of the players another team would ask for in a deal. In the meantime, Jovic having a breakout year in 2024-25 is one of the keys to the Heat's potential improvement if no deal is made. Either way, they're going to want that ankle to heal up fast. Raw 23-year-old NBA champion floated as Heat target. Though he won a title at a young age, Talen Horton-Tucker has some raw talent that could attract the Miami Heat. Bleacher Report's Andy Bailey explained how Horton-Tucker has enough raw talent to intrigue a suitor. There are still real concerns with his jump shot, but Talen Horton-Tucker is only 23 years old, typically puts up raw numbers whenever given the chance, and has good size, 6'4" with a 7'1" wingspan, for a primary playmaker, Bailey wrote in a July 11th story. During his 2 seasons with the Utah Jazz, THT has averaged 10.5 points, 3.6 assists, and 1.0 threes in just 20.0 minutes. Because he's not a finished project, Bailey believes Miami could be the best destination for him. If there's a team that could develop his raw talent into something more consistent, it may be the Miami Heat. The Heat have been responsible for multiple players panning out better than they could have expected. Players like Caleb Martin, Max Strus, and Gabe Vincent came along quite well in Miami. The Heat could have Horton Tucker for cheap, and he might be their next success story. He won a title with the Los Angeles Lakers in 2020, though they did not feature him in their playoff rotation. Horton Tucker remains a free agent, which sounds concerning knowing how long free agency has lasted. Hoops Hype's Frank Urbina and Raul Barragan explained in a July 11 story why they believe he is the 13th best free agent available. He's still young, despite it feeling like forever ago when he was breaking out with the Lakers. He's starting to show some promise as a combo guard scoring type with mid-range scoring skills. Horton Tucker's youth makes him more appealing because it's possible that he's not a finished product yet. While they had him ranked number 13, Bailey had him ranked number 6. It's likely that a team will add him, but probably not at the rate that the Jazz paid him, $22 million over 2 years. The Heat lost Martin one offseason after they lost Strus and Vincent. They haven't exactly replaced them with anyone who could be useful. Horton Tucker played for a Jazz team that had no long-term use for him over the last 2 seasons. He could redeem his value if the Heat unlock his potential. Bailey explained in a July 10 story why he saw the Heat as off-season losers. The Miami Heat, who've represented the East in the finals in 2 of the 5 years Jimmy Butler has been there, mostly stood still, Bailey wrote. While the development of Jamie Jaquez Jr. might ultimately make the loss of Martin negligible, Jaquez had more wins over replacement player last season. Losing talent for nothing is far from ideal. Bailey detailed the sticky situation with Jimmy Butler and where Miami stands with their title chances. Add to that the fact that Jimmy Butler will be playing out what could be the final year of his contract without a forthcoming extension, and it's easy to be nervous about this team splintering. Both of its recent finals runs were unexpected, so Miami may surprise us again, but it doesn't feel like the Heat are in the contenders tier after this offseason. Horton Tucker wouldn't vault the Heat up, but he could help fortify the Heat's foundation. Heat GM claims Jimmy Butler's extension will happen if he meets Pat Riley's challenges. Miami Heat GM Andy Ellisberg spoke on SiriusXM's NBA radio recently about Jimmy Butler's contract. He noted that both sides are interested in extending the contract, but Butler will have to meet some of Pat Riley's challenges in order to secure the deal, something Butler may not be used to doing before. As Pat Riley said in his press conference, it isn't something we have to do now. We have an opportunity to do this all year long, and then there's an opportunity that he becomes a free agent next year and we sit down and do a contract at that point. If a player wants to be in Miami, and we want him in Miami, the rest of it is logistics. That's how Pat has always approached it. Whether it's cap, room or timing, that just becomes a piece of it. I think Jimmy's indicated he wants to be in Miami, and at the end of the day, we would like Jimmy to be in Miami. Pat has indicated in his post-season press conference that there are things he wants to see, and there are challenges he wants met. Jimmy's not one who is familiar with being challenged. Pat and Jimmy are 2 very strong-willed people who are looking for the same thing, which is ultimately to win. My view of it is that it ultimately works itself out. There are lots of ways it can work out, and foremost, do the player and the team want to continue working together? If they do, there are lots of ways to make the rest of the numbers work. If everyone wants to make a deal, there are lots of ways you can make the deal with different pieces to it. The most important thing is everyone wanting to make the deal. These comments come in the wake of Pat Riley being quite aggressive towards Jimmy Butler in the media. Riley criticized Butler for claiming that he and the Heat would be in the NBA Finals if he were healthy during a party and told Butler to focus on getting healthy. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Jimmy Butler? Leave your opinion in the comments.